Various groups renew their calls on the government to end contractualization and increase the minimum wage during Labor Day protest. President Rodrigo Duterte urges Congress to pass measures against illegal contracting. A fire that broke out in an area in Quezon City leaves hundreds of families homeless. The Labor Department and other stakeholders signed the implementing rules and regulations for the expanded Maternity Leave Act on Labor Day. And Wish 107.5 YouTube channel hits 2 billion accumulated views mark. Good evening. Various labor groups gather on Labor Day to urge the government to end contractualization and to increase the minimum wage. John Nano tells us why.
Labor groups joined their forces today for the conduct of a nationwide protest on Labor Day. Laborers call on the government to end the contractualization scheme as well as to increase the minimum wage of Filipino workers. From Welcome Rotunda in Quezon City, the militant groups marched in España and then headed for Manjola, where they met several other labor groups. They are protesting against the continuous practice of contractualization by several private companies, which according to them is an inhumane treatment on workers. They also call on the government to increase the daily minimum wage to 750 pesos. They argue that the current 537 pesos daily minimum wage for workers in Metro Manila is not enough to sustain their living and to have a decent life. They also claim that the current daily minimum wage is unfair for those who are working in the provinces.
Sinisingil namin si Pangulo na dapat gawan niya ng paraan, lalong-lalo na siyam na araw na lang maiwan at 3 taon na siya sa poder. So kung seryoso siya, seryosuhin niya na yung kanyang pinakamalaking promise na ibinoto siya ng mga manggagawa. Tapos yung national minimum wage. Sa kasalukuyan, discriminatory sa mga taga-probinsya yung minimum wage.
Labor groups Kilusang Mayo Uno also showcase an effigy which according to them symbolizes the failed promises of President Duterte to stop the contractualization scheme. On the other hand, the Federation of Free Workers appeals to lawmakers for the immediate passage into law of Senate Bill number 1826 or the Security of Tenure and the End of Endo Act of 2018, which they say will entirely address the problem on contractualization in the country. John Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
President Rodrigo Duterte is optimistic that the Congress will pass measures that will fully protect workers from illegal contracting. Meanwhile, Vice President Leni Robredo appeals that contractualization in the country must stop. Rosalie Cos explains why.
President Rodrigo Duterte is in Davao City together with his family this Labor Day, according to Presidential Spokesperson Salvador Panelo. However, the chief executive sends his message to join the Filipino workers in commemorating the International Labor Day. The president says 1 year after he signed the executive order against contractualization, he remains optimistic that the Congress will consider passing legislative measures that will fully protect the rights of the Filipino workers. In particular, is the amendment of the Labor Code. Through this, Filipino workers will be ensured of security of tenure and self-organization. The chief executive also recognizes the contribution and sacrifices of overseas Filipino workers. Meanwhile, Secretary Panelo refuses to answer the question as to what he thinks is the rightful minimum wage for a Filipino worker. He is also letting the Regional Wage Board decide on the petitions to increase the basic pay of employees.
Hindi ko alam kung anong dapat na nasa ano yan eh. Ang wage board kasi sila mga eksperto doon, sila ang nasa ground, alam nila kung anong dapat na minimum wage.
On the other hand, Vice President Leni Robredo appeals to end the problem of contractualization in the country. In her message for the Labor Day, she says that everyone must unite to put to an end to ENDO or the end of contract employment scheme. Even Malacanang insists the Congress must pass appropriate laws to end all types of contractualization in the country. Rosalie Cos, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
2 wage hike petitions are pending before the National Wage Board. But the largest labor organization in the country plans to stage another salary hike request in other regions. Mai Bermudez tells us why.
Vivian Baroa, who works as a promodizer in a mall, has big dreams for her family. She also eyes on providing quality education for her children, something that every parent dreams of. But her 537 peso daily income seems like an obstacle.
Gusto ko po magkaroon din syempre ng sariling bahay at negosyo. Pag sa college, yun po, gusto ko syempre sa may pangalan din po sana na eskwelahan. Opo. Para pag naganap sila ng trabaho, ayun, mabilis po silang matanggap.
But workers' groups' petitions for wage increase are still pending before the National Wage Productivity Commission. Labor Group Associated Labor Union Trade Union Congress of the Philippines, or ALU-TUCP, is asking for a 710 peso addition to the daily minimum income of private workers in the National Capital Region. And at this point, they are planning to stage another wage hike plea in other regions.
Nagpaplano kaming mag-file ng petition, for example, sa Central Visayas. It would be close to these figures. It's still in process, pero it will be close to these figures. Isa lang po ang sikmura at kalusugan ng Pinoy. So, pare-pareho tayong nangangailangan ng tama at ng nutritious na pagkain.
The group Kilusang Mayo Uno, on the other hand, has earlier filed a 750 peso additional daily minimum wage across the board. The group says their plea is based on the study and figures from the National Economic and Development Authority and the Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, that at least 36,000 pesos per month is needed for a Filipino family to have decent living.
Matagal na panahon naman, pantay-pantay ang sahod ng mga manggagawa sa buong Pilipinas. Merong isang national minimum wage simula 1956 hanggang 1988. Dito sa National Capital Region, 537 yung minimum wage. Samantalang doon sa Mindanao, 270 lang ang sahod ng mga manggagawa.
Wage rates in the private sector vary in different parts of the country, something that workers' groups want to put an end to. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Implementing Rules and Regulations, or IRR, for the Republic Act 11210, or the Expanded Maternity Leave Law, have been signed on Labor Day. Heads of the Department of Labor and Employment, Civil Service Commission, and Social Security System signed the IRR in San Fernando, Pampanga. This will pave the way for the full implementation of the Expanded Maternity Leave Act. Under the law, working mothers in the private and public sectors, regardless of civil status, will be granted 105 days of paid maternity leave with option to extend for 30 days without pay. Solo mothers can get additional 15 days of leave. Husbands can also benefit from the law, as it includes a provision allowing the allocation of 7 maternity leave days to fathers. This is on top of the 7-day paternity leave provided under the Paternity Leave Act of 1996. The last day of April left 1,000 families homeless after a fire incident blazed a residential area in Quezon City. Ray Palayo tells us why.
Affected residents of Barangay Baysa in Quezon City are trying to recover whatever they can from their houses after a fire broke out in the area yesterday afternoon.
Ang ulam namin, paksiw! Naging prito na!
Based on the Bureau of Fire Protection, or BFP's report, around 500 houses were damaged, with over 1,000 families left displaced. The estimated worth of damages is around 2 million pesos, the report said. But Marilyn Pabilico approximates the cost of their house and equipments in it at around 500,000 pesos, including a machine they used in their business. Her problem now is how to sustain her family's needs in the wake of the fire.
Nakunti po kasi yung nanay ko, tapos lumabas po siya nung linggo. Tapos naghahanap po kami, siya naggagamot din. Wala po kasi kami pambili po.
Most of the residents here were in their workplaces when the fire incident happened.
Yun nga, in-expect ko na wala talaga may ligtas. Gawa nakalaktong bahay.
Yung pera ho, tabi ng anak ko kasi mag-enroll po siya sa mag-aaral po kasi siya ng pagka-police pumasa siya, nag-iipon na siya ng pera.
Pagkapon, nag-withdraw kami. Asawa ko, hindi namin namalayan na ganito mangyayari. Yan, nasunog pati pera.
Despite this, affected residents are thankful that no one was injured in the incident.
Sikap ulit. Simula ulit sa simula.
Other affected residents are now staying at the barangay covered court. The BFP is still investigating the cause of fire. Another fire incident in Barangay Bahay Toro, also in Quezon City, coincided with that in Baysa, with an estimated cost of damage amounting to 250,000 pesos. The BFP recorded 6,243 fire incidents from January 1 to April 29 this year, which is 4.5% lower compared to the number of incidents during the same period last year. Ray Pilayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Wish 1075 celebrates another milestone as it gains over 2 billion accumulated views on its YouTube channel. Nina Armilio tells us why.
No matter the music genre, Wishers and music lovers continue to enjoy Wish-exclusive videos only from the #1 FM YouTube channel in the Philippines, Wish 1075. And just this week, Wish YouTube channel gained its 2 billion accumulated views mark.
It's like a validation of all the hard work of the people behind the scenes, and actually even the artists, the world-class Filipino artists that actually performed in there aboard the iconic Wish 1075 bus.
Be it ballad,
don't know what to do whenever you are near, don't know what to sing,
reggae,
baby I love you every day,
alternative, or hip-hop,
Dalagang Pilipina, yeah. Isang dalagang Pilipina. Dalagang Pilipina, yeah.
Performed by local or international artists, veterans, or newbies. Wish 1075 continues to draw music performed on the iconic Wish bus closer to the mass. And as it celebrates this new milestone, Wish FM thanks its subscribers and viewers all over the world.
Nakita rin natin na tayong anchor sa unity and music kasi tayo yung naging unifying factor whether or not they are signed with a major record label or they're an indie artist.
Wish FM continues to break boundaries as more and more projects and innovations are yet to come. Just like Wishcovery, the biggest and freshest online singing competition, which is now gearing up for its 3rd season. As well as the ongoing Wish Bus Provincial Tour, which music lovers from the provinces in the country watch out for, as local artists and talents continue to be Wish-covered. And just last month, Wish 1075 YouTube channel hit its 5 million subscribers mark in less than 5 years since Wish FM first went on air. It now has over 5 million subscribers and counting. Wish 1075 as the FM station with the heart, and with this year's theme Breaking Boundaries, continues to entertain and inspire through music.
Whispering Wish.
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 Wish. Wish. Wish. Wish.
Wish. Wish.
Wish 1075.
Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
Thank you so much, everyone.
The Commission on Elections expects that the voter turnout in the local absentee voting for the 2019 midterm elections reached 80%. The poll body says more voters availed of the local absentee voting this year than in 2016. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Based on the Commission on Elections National Capital Region or COMELEC NCR's report, there are 415 voters approved by the poll body to vote in the COMELEC NCR office. Most of them are media practitioners. According to COMELEC, more have availed of the local absentee voting this year compared with the number in the 2016 elections. The poll body expects that the voter turnout in the 3-day local absentee voting in the country will reach 80%.
Dito rin makikita na mas active yung participation ng mga gustong bumoto sa local absentee voting kasi mas marami yan compared to last 2016.
Today is the last day of the local absentee voting or LAV for the 2019 local and national elections. According to the Commission on Elections or COMELEC, those who are approved by the poll body to vote earlier should grab the chance to cast their votes. If a voter does not get the chance to vote for the LAV, they will be barred from voting on May 13, 2019. The poll body is also obliged to give the names of approved voters in the local absentee voting to their respective local election offices to monitor them on the day of the elections.
If you failed to vote in our 3-day local absentee voting and you opted to go back, hindi ka pwedeng bumoto. Because mayroon nang nakalagay doon na you availed of local absentee voting. Once you availed of local absentee voting, yung pangalan mo doon sa original precinct mo, ang gagawin ng election officer natin dyan is to make an annotation na you availed of local absentee voting.
COMELEC explains that they have to implement this to prevent those voters from voting again. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
It is possible for President Rodrigo Duterte to announce or publicize a new batch of officials he will dismiss because of corruption within the week, according to Malacanang. Meanwhile, the president is still studying a report submitted by the Metropolitan Manila Water Works and Sewerage System, or MWSS, on the water service interruptions last month. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo in the UNTV program Get It Straight with Daniel Razon today revealed that any day this week, President Rodrigo Duterte may announce the names of government officials he will dismiss because of corruption allegations. It can be recalled that before traveling to China last week, the chief executive already warned about the matter.
Meron bang mga bagong nakalinyang sisibakin?
Di ba bago siya umalis, sinabi niya meron siyang series of dismissals?
Saan ba yan?
Hindi niya pa sinasabi, but anytime this week siguro lalabas.
May lalabas, may matatanggal within this week papalitan na...
Kasi sinabi niya before he left for Beijing, sabi niya.
The official also believes that no cabinet member will be removed or replaced by the chief executive. Secretary Panelo also said that President Duterte is still studying a report submitted by the Metropolitan Manila Water Works and Sewerage System, or MWSS, about the water interruptions in some parts of Metro Manila and Rizal Province in March.
Pinag-aaralan ni Presidente yung report ng MWSS at yung mga mungkahin nila. And then he will act on it. Siguro within this week meron na siyang desisyon.
The president had earlier asked for the report before deciding on the fate of MWSS officials and water concessionaires following the weeks-long water service interruptions last month. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Civil Aeronautics Board will investigate on Cebu Pacific's massive flight cancellations, in which more than 22,000 passengers are affected. Monoxon will tell us why.
The reason is not clear until now why many Cebu Air Incorporated or Cebu Pacific flights have been cancelled. Even the airline management has not given any statement aside from the explanation that a number of their aircraft are under repair. Cebu Pacific said there are 58 round-trip flights, or equivalent to more than 100 flights affected by the cancellations, with more than 22,000 passengers inconvenienced. The Civil Aeronautics Board, which regulates the economic aspect of air transportation in the Philippines, said they will investigate the case, especially that this is extraordinary.
Hindi naman natin nakikitang nangyayari yan ng madalas. That's extraordinary. So lahat ng even lahat ng mga cancellations of this nature talagang kailangan imbestigahan para ma-remedyohan natin.
Some speculate that the reason for the cancellations are labor issues or employees' problems with their working conditions. Many cabin crew and pilots have not been reporting to work to to protest regarding their appeal. But according to the CAB, they are still waiting for the report they have requested from Cebu Pacific regarding the true reason for the flight cancellations.
Actually, I will not dwell on speculations kasi as a quasi-judicial agency, they have to be very careful kasi we render judgments, we render decisions. So I would rather refrain from speculating on the reasons.
Airport officials are calling on the public to know their rights as stated in the Air Passenger Bill of Rights. All affected passengers can rebook their flights for free, reroute to a different airport that is not affected by the cancellation, demand for a full refund, or place the full cost of the ticket in the travel fund. Affected passengers may go to the nearest Cebu Pacific office or visit Cebu Pacific's website for any inquiries. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Some workers still went to work on Labor Day. When asked about their cost of living, they said that the prices of goods and services were lower in the past years. April Senadoza explains why.
Some Filipino workers from different walks of life are in favor of the cost of living in the previous years than that of these days. They argue that the prices of goods and services were low in the past years. As consumer prices go up, these workers have to work even on Labor Day to earn more to make ends meet for their families.
Kung bibili ka sa mga kari-karinderya, mas mapapamahal ka. Hindi kagaya pagkaya nagluluto-luto na lang kami, makakamenos kami lang ng gastos.
Mas maganda ang buhay nung araw dahil nung araw mura lahat ang bilihin.
Mataas ang gasolina, diesel. Kaya mas hindi komportable ang buhay ng tao sa ngayon sa noon.
The minimum wage in the National Capital Region was only 89 pesos in 1989. People could afford to buy rice for as low as 2 to 7 pesos during the 70s and the 80s. The minimum jeepney fare before was less than 6 pesos. Presently, the minimum wage for Metro Manila workers is 537 pesos. However, based on the estimates of research group Ibon Foundation, a family of 5 needs a living wage worth 1,004 pesos per day. That is why the current minimum wage is not sufficient. The group insists that employers can afford to raise the minimum wage by 750 pesos per day, which all entails a small cut in their profits.
Yung pagsagot mo sa rising cost of living, rising sahod, rising yung take-home pay mo, rising yung pinagkakitaan mo. Pero kung hindi tumataas yon at lalong-lalo na kung hindi nakakasabay sa pagtaas ng presyo ng bilihin, talagang aaray ka.
In response, the Employers Confederation of the Philippines said only a few workers will benefit should the wage hike push through.
There are 43 million now in the labor market. This includes mga farm workers, yung mga market vendors, mga tricycle drivers of jeepney, yan mga yan ang tinatawag na informal market. 86% sila ng total workforce ng 43 billion. Yung 14%, yung formal sector, 14% na yun, kalahati lang noon ang minimum wage earner.
April Senadoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Different problems and issues have been raised by various groups. Some Filipinos say they are more concerned about jobs and housing problems. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Different groups have once again expressed their dismay over the policies of the government in resolving several issues in the country. These include the revocation of the tax reform law, unfair treatment towards workers, raising the minimum wage, and problems on the price hike of basic commodities. Some Filipinos say their primary concerns are about a decent home and employment. Hernando Dayao's family is one of those considered as informal settlers. Hernando and her wife have 5 children. They always worry that one day they will be evicted from the place they have learned to call home.
Ay kung minsan, may balak palisin, natatakot na kami yun. Nauldot naman kasi magbubutuhan eh. Pagkatapos ng butuhan, ayun, makamatuloy na yun. Trabaho rin. Kasi mekaniko yung mga bata, wala naman silang trabaho.
Glenn Cabal, a pedicab driver, dreams of landing a well-paying job. His main goal is making ends meet for his family.
Kung po pwede nga lang makapagtrabaho Trabaho na ako kaso may edad na ako, hindi na ako natatanggap magtrabaho, kaya ganito na lang.
Based on data from the Philippine Statistics Authority, the regions with a huge rate of unemployment include the National Capital Region, the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or ARMM, and Calabarzon. In 2011, there was a record of about 1.5 million families of informal settlers, and this number has kept on rising. More than half of this number in dangerous areas. According to Housing and the Urban Development Coordinating Council or HUDC, from 2011 to 2016, the country had 5.7 million housing backlogs. This means that the government needs to construct a total of 2,602 housing units per day for the next years to resolve the backlogs. Currently, the executive branch and the Congress have proposed laws and policies to resolve these problems of Filipinos considered poor. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Facebook Incorporated debuted an overhaul of its core social network, taking its first concrete steps to refashion itself into a private messaging and e-commerce company. Monokson tells us why.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has revealed a series of changes to the firm's portfolio of social platforms, including Instagram and WhatsApp.
Hey everyone, welcome to F8.
The new designs and features for its apps are a direct response to widespread criticism of how the firm protects user data. Zuckerberg said the company plans to put privacy first. He acknowledged that there was much to do to rebuild trust. In a speech to developers, Zuckerberg described the firm's new focus on privacy as a major shift in how the company is run.
As the world gets bigger and more connected, we need that sense of intimacy more than ever. So that's why I believe that the future is private. This is the next chapter for our services.
Some of the more visible changes to those who use the firm's products will include messages sent via Messenger will be end-to-end, encrypted by default, meaning Facebook itself won't see the contents and the platform will be fully integrated with WhatsApp.
Now, we know that a lot of us sort of use Instagram to find things that we're interested in.
Instagram is trialing a private like counts feature, which would hide the likes a post attracts from viewers, but not the account owner. A WhatsApp secure payment service trialed in India is to be rolled out to other countries later this year.
And it's going to take time. I'm sure we're going to keep on unearthing old issues for a while, so it may feel like we're not making progress at first. But I think that we've shown time and again as a company that we can do what it takes to evolve and build the products that people want.
Other Facebook executives introduced changes within the Messenger and Instagram apps aimed at helping businesses connect with customers, including appointment booking and enhanced shopping features, as well as a tool to lure customers into direct conversations with companies via ads. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
More than 200,000 jobs were offered in the Department of Labor and Employment's Labor Day Jobs Fair in different parts of the country. Some of the applicants were able to get hired on the spot. Leslie Hudiem will tell us why.
Early this morning, long queues of applicants were seen at the Kingsborough International Convention Center in the city of San Fernando in Pampanga. The venue served as the main site for the Labor Day Jobs Fair held today by the Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE. According to DOLE, more than 200,000 jobs were offered during today's job fair from 31 venues across the country. Some of the jobs offered for local employment were spots for customer service representatives, machine operators, ESL teachers, cashiers, sales associates, food and beverages staff, bookkeepers, warehouse staff, application developer, and baggers. For overseas employment, some of the vacant positions offered were factory workers, nurses, machine operators, welders, house workers, waiters, bakers, and English teachers in Thailand. There were also 18,000 job vacancies from the various government agencies. Despite the high volume of job vacancies, many applicants failed to find jobs suitable for their competences.
Tatawagan na lang daw ulit. High school graduate lang po. Wala, parang nasanay na lang. Nasanay na lang na puro ganun na lang.
Mga pinaprioritize daw po nila is more on dun sa mga malalayong lugar. Then tatawagan na lang din po kami after kung qualified ba or i-interviewin po yung next na gagawin sa amin.
On the other hand, Ana Carmina Gonzalez got lucky for being one of those who got hired on the spot. She applied for a job as a security officer.
Masaya po. Masaya po. Mapasalamat po kami sa DOLE dahil meron pong job fair ngayon at natanggap po ako.
According to DOLE, those who were not able to secure a job right away should not get discouraged. The agency said a list was made for those who were hired and that vacant position will also open even after today's job fair.
Continuing yung dialogue with the labor. Continuing yun. In fact, lahat sila ay nakalista sa amin para anytime yung sa mga projects na gagawin under the Build infrastructure program of the President.
Leslie Widem, UNTV News and Rescue, Pampanga.
The month of the ocean, or MU, is celebrated annually in the Philippines during the month of May. And today, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources in Boracay released endangered sea turtles to the wild as part of celebrating Love Boracay. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
After several years of being raised at a resort in Boracay, 3 hawksbill sea turtles have been turned over to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DENR. These sea turtles were then released by the agency back to the wild and their natural habitat.
So we want them to grow in their natural habitat. Hindi yung nasa loob ng isang aquarium or nasa isang palanggana. So, and of course, that's part of conservation. We want them to swim freely around, hopefully find their mate, and hopefully, reproduce. Mas dumami sila.
According to the DENR, they have made sure that turtles are healthy and fit to survive in the sea before they were released. Tags were placed on the turtles for easy identification. Meanwhile, the DENR reminded the public that in the event that they see these sea turtles again, they should be left alone for the creatures to properly adapt to their natural habitat.
Huwag silang hulihin, huwag silang kunin, huwag nang hawakan, huwag nang lapitan. Just let them be.
The release of the critically endangered sea turtles is part of the celebration of Boracay's Sustainability Week. The week-long celebration from April 26 to May 1 is dubbed Love Boracay, Celebrate, Rehabilitate. Today is also the first day of the Month of the Ocean celebration in the Philippines. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Boracay.
Meanwhile, the Department of Foreign Affairs raised the alert level from 3 to 4 in Libya due to the increased threats to the safety and security of the Filipinos in the said country. According to DFA, the Philippine Embassy in Tripoli recommended Foreign Secretary Teddy Locsin Jr. to raise the alert level due to the current situation on the ground that could no longer guarantee the safety and security of Filipinos. The new alert level covers Tripoli and other areas within a 100-kilometer radius from the capital. There are over 1,000 Filipinos living in Tripoli. Locsin appealed to Filipinos in Libya to consider repatriation and requested families to convince their loved ones to go home before it is too late. And for the news abroad, here's Stephanie C. live from Hong Kong. Stephanie, good evening.
Good evening, William. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro claimed his troops have thwarted a botched attempt to topple him masterminded by Venezuela's coup-mongering far right and U.S. President Donald Trump. Monok Son will tell us why.
President Nicolas Maduro on Tuesday made an address to the nation, downplaying an attempted uprising against his government and denying reports he had planned to flee Venezuela for Cuba. Early on Tuesday, armed troops accompanying Guaido clashed with soldiers supporting Maduro at a rally in Caracas, and large anti-government protests in the streets turned violent But by Tuesday afternoon, an uneasy peace had returned and there was no indication that the opposition planned to take power through military force. In an interview, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that Maduro had been ready to depart for socialist ally Cuba, but had been persuaded to stay by Russia, which the Venezuelan leader denied.
Yeah, it's understanding that he was ready to go. He'd made a decision that we've been urging him to make for quite some time, and then he was diverted from that action by the Russians. We hope he'll reconsider and get back on that plane.
Señor Pompeo, por favor.
Mr. Pompeo, what a lack of sincerity. Mr. Bolton also gave orders to military and civilian personnel in Venezuela to join the coup. The skirmish in Venezuela has been defeated, and Mr. Trump set off 1,000 expletives. Lies. How far are the men in the United States government willing to go?
Maduro said he had reinstated Gustavo Gonzalez Lopez as the head of the SEBIN intelligence agency without providing details on the exit of Manuel Christopher Figuera at the helm of the agency. Christopher Figuera replaced Gonzalez Lopez at SEBIN last year. Guaido claimed a peaceful rebellion, not an attempted military coup, was underway and urged supporters to return to the streets to continue what he called the final stage of Operation Freedom. He said Venezuelans now had the opportunity to conquer their future. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
Japan's new emperor has pledged to fulfill his role as a symbol of the state and unity in his first public address since taking the throne. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
Japan's new Emperor Naruhito has formally ascended the chrysanthemum throne a day after his father Akihito abdicated from the world's oldest monarchy. In his first speech, Naruhito said he would act according to the constitution and fulfill his responsibility as the symbol of the state.
In acceding to the throne, I swear that I will reflect deeply on the course followed by His Majesty, the Emperor Emeritus, and bear in mind the path trodden by past emperors. And I will devote myself to self-improvement. I also swear that I will act according to the Constitution and fulfill my responsibility as the symbol of the state and of the unity of the people of Japan, while always turning my thoughts to the people and standing with them. I sincerely pray for the happiness of the people and the further development of the nation as well as the peace of the world.
Akihito, the first Japanese monarch to abdicate in 2 centuries, became an active symbol of peace, reconciliation, and democracy during his 3-decade Heisei era. Many expect Naruhito to follow that model, but with his own style. Meanwhile, people all over Japan welcomed the start of the new Reiwa era as new Emperor Naruhito officially took up his post. People braved the rain and gathered at a popular shopping district in Tokyo to count down to the new Reiwa era, which means beautiful harmony. As day broke, hundreds flocked to the Imperial Palace with hopes of being part of the historic moment as ceremonies for the ascension took place behind the high walls. Holding flags and sheets of paper with the Chinese characters for Reiwa written on them in calligraphy, they posed for pictures and expressed their well wishes to Naruhito and Empress Masako.
A transition of imperial eras is an event that may happen only once in our lifetime. It is a special date and we came here today as we wanted our baby also to be present at this historic moment.
Following the previous emperor, I hope the new emperor will stand with the Japanese people and do more things. I expect a lot from him.
Naruhito's formal enthronement will take place at a more elaborate ceremony in October, attended by dignitaries from Japan and around the world. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Young Japanese talents are being lured to study in Korea to get a shot at Kpop stardom. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
A 17-year-old Japanese high school student, Yuuka Asumi, put her school on hold and flew to South Korea earlier this year to try her chances at becoming a K-pop star, even if that meant long hours of vocal and dance training, no privacy, and even no phone. Hasumi joined a Kopya school in Seoul, a prep school offering young Japanese a shot at K-pop stardom, teaching them the dance moves, the songs, and also the language. She's one of an estimated 1 million other K-pop star wannabes from South Korea and abroad, hoping to get a shot at super competitive auditions by major talent agencies that will take on just a select few as trainees. Going through a strict training and taking my skills to a higher level, to a perfect stage. I think that's when it's good to make a debut. The influx of Japanese talent that is reshaping the K-pop industry comes at a time of increasingly bitter political acrimony between the two countries that has damaged political ties. Tensions rooted in Japan's 1910 to 1945 colonization of Korea have risen after South Korean court rulings against Japanese firms for forced labor and amid a perception in Korea that Japan's leadership has not adequately atoned for its colonial past. However, the popularity of Korean culture and K-pop music is on the rise in Japan, with many fans and artists saying they are not bothered by the diplomatic tension.
People similar to my generation are focused on cosmetics, fashion, and K-pop rather than problems in Japan-Korea relations, and I think we have a good impression of South Korea. The older generation hold various opinions and are concerned about the problems in Japan-Korea relations and politics.
During a visit to Seoul paid for by her mother, herself a die-hard BTS fan, now needs to audition for 10 agencies and was accepted by 5. Debut is elusive, unlike in Japan, where it is easier for idols to get a start and then can hone their skills and work on their appeal with the fans. A board member of Seoul Tokyo Forum said the government should help K-pop stars perform in Japan because there's no Korea-Japan animosity there, and it would help thaw the relationship between the two countries. Miyu Takeuchi said it wasn't a difficult decision to leave a 10-year career with the top idol band AKB48 back home in Japan to sign with the K-pop agency Mystic Entertainment in March as a trainee.
It was absolutely not a difficult decision to leave Japanese idol band and become a K-pop trainee. Honestly, I feel that I still have achieved nothing at the moment, and I think that starting from the fundamentals in Korea, it's an essential step to becoming a professional K-pop artist, and hence, I have come to Korea to start from the basics.
Even with her experience, she has 7 hours of vocal training a day and 2-hour dance lessons twice a week, plus early morning Korean lessons. She is not allowed to have a boyfriend, but she says she has no regrets, despite the fact that there is no guarantee she will make it. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
More than 300 people have died from overwork and related illnesses in Indonesia elections. Meanwhile, a North Korean official warned that the U.S. would face unintended consequences if Washington did not change their policy toward the country's denuclearization. Ferdie Petalio explains why.
North Korea's Vice Foreign Minister Cho Soon-hui said on Tuesday that the United States will face undesired consequences if it fails to present a new position in denuclearization talks. North official news agency KCNA said Cho said North Korea's resolve for denuclearization remain unchanged, but it will only happen if the United States changes its current calculations. The second summit in Vietnam collapsed without an agreement after U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un failed to agree on the extent of economic sanctions relief for North Korea in exchange for giving up its nuclear program. Kim has warned that the collapse of the Hanoi summit risked reviving tension and said he was only interested in meeting Trump again if Washington showed more flexibility, setting a year-end deadline. In Sri Lanka, the Sri Lankan government lifted a ban on social media platforms, including Facebook, WhatsApp, and Viber on Tuesday, after the sites were barred on hopes of putting a stop to the spread of rumors after the deadly Sunday bombings. The move was welcomed by many local residents who hope to gain more information as the city slowly recovers from the deadly attacks. Sri Lankan security forces were maintaining a high level of alert amid intelligence reports that the militants were likely to strike before the beginning of the month of Ramadan, which is due to begin next Monday. Scores of suspected Islamists have been arrested in the multi-ethnic island nation after the April 21st suicide bomb attacks on hotels and churches that killed more than 250 people, including 42 foreign nationals. And in Indonesia, 2 weeks after Indonesia held the world's biggest single-day elections, more than 300 election staff have died, mostly of fatigue-related illnesses caused by long hours of work, counting millions of ballot papers by hand, and thousands treated at hospitals. Promano Obaid, commissioner of the KPU, said as of Tuesday morning, 318 election officials had died, mostly from overwork-related illnesses, while 2,232 others had fallen ill. The April 17 elections were the first time the country of 260 million people combined the presidential vote with national and regional parliamentary ones with an aim to cut costs. Voting was largely peaceful and was estimated to have drawn 80% of the total 190 million voters, who each had to punch up to 5 ballot papers in over 800,000 polling stations. But conducting the 8-hour vote in a country that stretches more than 5,000 kilometers from its western to eastern tips proven to be both a Herculean logistical feat and deadly for officials who had to count ballot papers by hand. The KPU that has come under fire due to the rising death toll will conclude vote counting and announce winners of the presidential and parliamentary elections on May 22nd. Ferdy Patalio, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Stephanie C., reporting live from Hong Kong. A high school runner in Texas breaks his high school's 100-meter run record. Meanwhile, Wimbledon prize money rises 11.8% this year. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
A high school senior in Texas ran a 100-meter dash in 9.98 seconds, a time that would have earned a spot in the 2016 Olympic final. Runner Matthew Bowling, nicknamed White Lightning, smashed the U.S. high school all-conditions record on Saturday. Bowling's 9.98 second sprint does not count as a national record because of the existing 4.2 miles per hour wind on the track at the time. The 18-year-old will attend the University of Georgia in the fall to run track and wants to earn a spot on the U.S. Olympic team for the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo. Meanwhile, Wimbledon prize money will total £38 million for this year's championships, a rise of 11.8%, the All England club announced on Tuesday. The men's and women's singles champions will receive £2.35 million, $100,000 more than in 2018. Continuing a theme of recent years, organizers have again significantly raised prize money for early round losers. The championships, which this year will see a roof on court 1, will not employ the shot clock used at the year's Australian Open, although it is likely to be rolled out in 2020, according to club CEO Richard Lewis. This year's tournament will also see tie breaks employed at 12-12 in the deciding sets of all matches for the first time. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue.
For the first time in hundreds of years, the Louvre Museum in Paris opened its doors for 2 overnight guests courtesy of Airbnb. June Garin will tell us why.
On Tuesday, April 30, the lucky guest to get to spend one night in the Louvre Museum, 26-year-old fine art conservation student Daniela and her boyfriend, 29-year-old professional mountain climber Adam, were given a tour of the museum by an art historian, Sabine de la Rochefoucauld, before Mona Lisa took over as a host of the exclusive visit. Before the temporary residents retired for the night under a mini pyramid built exclusively for the occasion. They were treated to a private concert in Napoleon III's chambers by emerging French artist Sarah Jean Ziegler. Daniela, who said the stay had magnified the importance of the Mona Lisa for her, was chosen to stay at the museum through a competition launched on April 2, in which entrants had to answer the question, "Why would you be the perfect guest for Mona Lisa?"
I wrote that I'm a conservator and an art history lover and an artist, and so we could have a lot to talk about, and I would bring her a drink or some crisps if she's hungry, and we would chat and share a smile. That's it.
Talk about what Leonardo's like.
Daniela and Adam are the first to spend the night in the former palace in centuries, after French kings permanently ceased residing there in the mid-1700s. Deputy Administrator of the Louvre, Anne-Laure Beatrice, said it was a chance to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the museum's iconic pyramid earlier this month, and Airbnb's 10th anniversary, describing the visit as really magical. Those who missed out on the historic opportunity will still have a chance to experience special treatment at the Louvre, as Airbnb is soon to unveil a program of intimate concerts and exclusive visits to be reserved on their website for a price of around 30 euros. June Garin, UNTV News and Rescue, Paris, France.
And those are the reasons behind the news this May 1st, 2019. On behalf of Rina Villamor Camara and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo, and before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
Sinisingil namin si Pangulo na dapat gawan niya ng paraan, lalong-lalo na siyam na araw na lang maiwan at 3 taon na siya sa poder. So kung seryoso siya, seryosohin niya na yung kanyang pinakamalaking promise na ibinoto siya ng mga manggagawa.
Yung pangsagot mo sa rising cost of living, rising sahod, rising yung take-home pay mo, rising yung pinagkakitaan mo. Pero kung hindi tumataas yun, at lalong-lalo na kung hindi nakakasabay sa pagtaas ng presyo ng bilihin, talagang aaray ka.
Dito rin makikita na mas active yung participation ng mga gustong bumoto sa local absentee voting kasi mas marami yun compared to last 2016.
As the world gets bigger and more connected, we need that sense of intimacy more than ever. So that's why I believe that the future is private.
It's like a validation of all the hard work of the people behind the scenes, and actually even the artists, the world-class Filipino artists that actually performed in there aboard the iconic Rush 1075 bus.